The principle of the sewing machine is not complicated. It's the mechanization of the process of sewing by hand. But it's not easy for a machine to realize this process. The first problem to solve is the needle. This is the needle we usually use. It has a sharp end and a round end. The thread goes through the round end. If the machine were to sew with a needle like this, it would be very troublesome because every time the needle goes through the fabric, the needle would have to be turned over before it could be threaded back through the fabric. In order to solve this problem, Charles, a German inventor, designed a needle in 1755 that was pointed at both ends, and the thread was threaded through the bottom point. So the needle could be threaded through the fabric again and thus increase efficiency. This was the beginnings of the sewing machine needle. The problem of the needle was solved. But another problem arose: how to fix the thread belt, because there's only one thread. So every time the needle goes through the fabric and comes out, the thread would come out. And that's a problem. So Thomas, the English woodworker, came up with a genius method. After the needle went through the fabric, it left some of the thread behind, so that it creates a loop. When the next needle goes through the loop and leaves a loop, and so on and so forth, and so on and so on, and so on and so on, and so on and so on. That's why it's called chain stitch. It's used in so many different ways to make it easier for the needle to go through the loop and make the thread tighter. Charles added a linking hook at the bottom. Charles added an interlocking hook. So it looks like it's all connected, but if you look closely, you'll see that the hook needs to release the loop. And then hook the next one. It's very easy to make a mistake. Another inventor, James, designed a hook like a dart. That spun around when the loop was hooked so that when you hook the next loop, it won't be affected by the previous loop. It's really ingenious. But it was discovered that this chain stitch wasn't suitable for sewing sign. It's not strong enough, and if it got loose in one place, the whole thread would come apart. To make the thread more secure, the American Elias invented the two-thread interlocking sewing technique. It uses two threads to sew. It's designed with an indented core for the bottom thread, so that it can slide forward through the loop to form a tight knot so that the garment is strong. But a new problem was discovered. That moving the fabric manually made the stitching very uneven and it was tiring. So the inventor Wilson designed an ingenious mechanism that allowed the fabric to move automatically. He placed a metal plate with a non-slip pattern underneath the fabric. The crank linkage mechanism moved the fabric backward automatically. This is how a sewing machine works.